ideas, receptive to new perspectives, and willing to learn from one another. We pray that you guide us in our efforts to support and guide the adolescents of our community correctly. In Jesus' name, amen. With that being said, I would like to once again welcome you all to this very special event, and I hope that you find it informative, inspiring, and enlightening. Thank you. So I would first like to start off our event by bringing up our first speaker. It's Eddie Arvelo. It's one of my good friends. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, thank you for being here, appreciate it. If you haven't met me before, my name is Eddie Arevalo, and I just want to say thank you to Abundant Grace for allowing us to be here today, and thank you for everyone that contributed to putting all of this together, really appreciate it. We just got that side over there. Okay, so my talk, I was invited today to speak to all of you about finances. So that the title of my talk today is called Financial Wellness and Empowerment. Can we go next slide? I don't have a clicker. So a question that all of you probably have is, why should we listen to Eddie when it comes to finances? That's a very fair question, and just a little bit about me is I'm a first generation Mexican American. So what that means is my parents are from Mexico. Me and my siblings are the first ones in our family born here. So if you're new to a country, you're new to a place, you know how hard and confusing it can be to try to figure things out on your own. So that kind of happened to my parents. They struggled with their finances. That led to them separating when I was 8 and being legally divorced when I was 12 years old. So I made a promise to myself that I was going to learn as much as I could. I was going to work as hard as I could, and I was going to ask for as much help as I needed in order to get ahead in life and be able to provide for my future wife and kids in every area that I could. So if somebody like me can learn these rules about finances, there's no doubt in my mind that every single one of you, and anyone else really, that can learn these things too. Number 2, through the grace of God and by meeting the right people, I was able to achieve getting some financial licenses, including my Series 6 and 63, which allows me to go into the communities and educate families on how to reach their financial goals. And number 3, the schools aren't teaching us these concepts about money. I mean, by a show of hands, how many people have had a class called the money class? Or, no, nobody? Okay, so I'm here to share with you guys some concepts and ideas that could be considered secrets because nobody's talking about them, right? So that we can learn these things and become rich and wealthy ourselves. Can we go next slide, please? So by a show of hands, who's seen this phrase? Probably knowledge is power, probably in your classes, in your libraries or stuff like that, right? Most of us would agree that this is true, right? Okay, well, what if I told you this is wrong? Can we go next slide? What? Can we go next slide, please? Can we go next slide, please? That other saying is wrong because it should actually be applied knowledge is power. It's not just what we learn, it's what we do with what we learn. See, I can know how to work out, but if I don't take my happy little self to the gym and actually do the workouts, how positive of an impact is that going to make on my life, right? So applied knowledge is power. So can we go to the next? Thank you. So I'm going to share with you guys some information. Number 1, did you know that 64% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck? So by a show of thumbs up and thumbs down, do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing? Right? Okay. Number 2, did you know that 6 in 10 Americans do not have $1,000 saved for an unplanned expense? So can we go thumbs up if that's a good thing or thumbs down if that's a bad thing? Right? And last one, the average American has over $90,000 in consumer debt. Again, good thing or bad thing? Right? Okay, so now hopefully you guys are paying attention, okay? So can we go next slide, please? So we got to start asking ourselves, why is this happening? Number 1, people have little to no understanding of what it means to build a solid financial house. So what I need everyone to understand is we're all building a financial house whether we realize it or not, okay? And when it comes to building a regular house, if we don't have the plans or the blueprint, how is that house going to look? Probably a little crooked, maybe not the best house, right? The big bad wolf is going to come down and blow it all down, right? So number 2, the cost of living is going up. I don't know who in here pays bills or pays rent, groceries, and fills up their gas tank and stuff. seems like everything's going up, right? And number 3, simply put, people are just not making enough money. So next slide, please. So building a financial home starts with a goal. So by show of hands, who in here has heard of a financial independence number? Okay, there's a couple of us, but if not, don't worry. So FIN for short, financial independence number, FIN for short, is the amount of money you'll need to accumulate so that someday you can live off of that money for the rest of your life and never have to go back to work, right? Who in here wants to keep working forever? Nobody, right? We gotta figure out, so we have to figure out what that number is so that we can start making the right steps to getting there. Can we get to the next slide, please? So if we don't know what our target is, what are the chances of us actually hitting that target? Right? Next slide, please. But if we actually know what our target is, then our chances of hitting it go up a little bit, right? Okay, next slide, please. Do you know what inflation is? Don't worry, it's up on the board. So it's when prices go up and the buying power of our money goes down. So can we go next slide, please? I use this example because I thought there was going to be more kids in here. No. But who remembers when hot Cheetos cost 99 cents? Right? The good old days, right? you go to a store now, and hot Cheetos, and I think the bags are smaller now too. They're like $2.50. Can you believe that? That's the reason why I don't eat them anymore. Right? Next slide, please. And same thing, $100. Before, our carts looked a lot fuller. As you keep going, you know, the cart's getting a little less and less full as we go to the grocery store. Next slide, please. So how do we fight against inflation? By show of hands, who in here has heard of the rule of 72? Cool, all right. Well, I'm going to share with you guys. Einstein actually discovered this concept. It shows how compound interest is a good factor in this world. So the rule of 72 simply states that you take the number 72 and you divide it by whatever interest rate you're getting, and it equals the number of years that it's going to take for your investment to double. So if we take $10,000 and we put it in a 3% account, 72 divided by 3, math wizards? 24. You saw it up there, huh? I'm just kidding. Right? So it takes 24 years for your money to double, and then another 24 for it to double again. So from 10 to 20 takes 24, 24 to 48, it gets to 40,000. So if we put it in a 6%, all right, Victor, 72 divided by 6? So there you go. Yeah, that was good. That was good. So now it's every 12 years that your money doubles. So 10 to 20,000 in 12 years, 20 to 40 in 24, 40 to 80, 80 to 160, right? In the same 48 years. Now, last one, 72 divided by 12. There you go. Answer's on the board, right? So now every 6 years our money doubles. So 10, 20, 40, 80, 160, 320, 640, 1.2 million, 2.5 million. Right, so by a show of hands, who thinks that we should have been taught the rule of 72 in school? Right? Okay, cool. Next slide, please. What are investings and what are investments? So according to easypeasyfinance.com, so it's not my words, but I liked how they explained it. Investing is an action you take with your money to make it grow. Okay, so some popular options are stocks, bonds, and real estate. So when you put your money in these options, those are considered your investments. Right, and I put up the scripture, the verse from Matthew chapter 25, verses 14 to 30. I would recommend you guys look into that if you guys don't know it already. So next slide, please. What are other forms of investments? We have our time and attention that we can use to invest in, and our gifts and talents. You can invest these things into your family. You invest your time and attention into building bonds with your parents, with your siblings, with your cousins, with your aunts and uncles, with your friends, build stronger bonds with your friends. You can invest these things into your home, right? So you can have a more pleasurable place for your friends and family to come together. You can invest into your education. You can invest into your health, learn how to cook and eat the right things. You can invest into your church, right? You can give your time to your church so you can make it a more pleasurable place so that people can come to know who Jesus Christ is. You can invest into your school so that other students have a better opportunity to learn. And dream careers. Some people might want to be teachers, some people might want to be athletes, some people might want to be anything. So you can start investing your time and attention into these areas so that you can better get ahead. Next slide, please. Okay, and we're going to talk about making money. So who in here, by a show of hands, knows what the cash flow quadrant is? No? Okay, we know somebody. That's cool. So the cash flow quadrant talks about the 4 legal ways to make money. So if you look at this diagram, we're gonna split it down the middle, and we're gonna look at the left side and the right side. Okay, starting at the top left, we've got employee, where you have a job. Here you're trading time for money, right? Then we go down to the bottom, where now you own a job, right? You're still trading time for money. You might be making a little more money being self-employed, where you own a job, because you're in control of how much you're charging for the products or the services that but you're still changing time for money. Does that make sense? So now we go over to the right side, and here on the top right, we're a business owner. So now you own a system, right, where you're giving people an opportunity where they can change their time for dollars, and it allows you to remove yourself from that place and frees up your time, so now you can do whatever it is that you want to do while still making money. Does that make sense? And then the bottom is investor. So now you're trading dollars for dollars, right? And you're giving yourself, again, an opportunity to remove yourself so that you can make money while not having to physically be there. Does that make sense? So something I like to share with people is, if we have all the money in the world but not enough time, what good is all that money? How can we spend that money if we don't have enough time, right? And then the other one is, what if we have all the time in the world but no money? Well, now we're homeless, right? So, okay, next slide, please. So, again, I thought we were going to have some more kids in here, but some extra side hustles for teens is extra chores around the house, babysitting, pet sitting, dog walking, yard work, washing cars, windows. If you're good at school, you could tutor. If you're good at sports, you can help coach for money, or selling baked goods. Just make sure you clean the kitchen, right? Next slide, please. We talked about making money. Now let's talk about saving more money. So it's been said that if you make $10 and you spend $9, that equals happiness, because you still have $1 left. Good for you. But if you make $10 and you spend $11, right? Now you owe somebody $1, right? Who's owed money before to somebody? And how good does that feel, right? That is good, right? So a concept that we like to share with people is pay yourself first. So if you make $10, we recommend putting 10% away of that, so that you can start putting it away towards your financial independence number, and one day stop having to work for the rest of your life. Then second is take advantage of having minimal expenses. So again, this is more for the kids here. If you don't have bills, if you're not helping pay rent, pay for the food that you're eating, groceries, gas, and all that stuff, take advantage of whatever money's coming in so that we can save as much as we can. Number 3, ask yourself, where is my money going? I don't know how many people actually use a budget, but I have some examples of budgets in the next couple slides. And then the next one is use coupons and discount codes. I don't know who actually gets newspapers anymore, but some people still get mail where you can get coupons and clip them out and stuff. And you can Google discount codes for almost anything now. So if you haven't thought about that, Google discount codes, okay? You can save some money there too. Next slide, please. This is just about the next slide. So next slide. So these are 2 examples of budgets. It's more for kids, elementary kind of style budgets. You have on the top one, we have one side income, the money that's coming in, allowance, long work, birthday money, and then on the other side is money that's coming out. In this example, earbuds, birthday gift for your best friend, put $4 into your savings because you understand the idea of a financial independence number, and then charity donation you gave to your church or something. You combine the numbers and you have a balance of $7. On the bottom, it's just a little more divided, so it's from the dates, where the money's coming from, who it's going to, and then the balance calculated on every row. Next slide, please. Thank you. Something we haven't talked about yet is giving more, right? So making more money so that we can give more money. And a verse that I really like in the Bible is from Acts chapter 20, verse 35. It's Paul speaking, in everything I did, I showed you that by this kind of hard work, we must help the weak, remembering the words the Lord Jesus himself said, it is more blessed to give than to receive. Okay? So that one really resonates with me. And if you like science, there's actually studies that have shown that Those that spent on others had increased activity in their temporal, parietal junction, and ventral striatum, which are parts of the brain associated with empathy and happiness. Okay? And then other studies have linked generous behaviors with activity in the reward regions of the brain, such as the nucleus accumbens and increased dopamine, which is the neurotransmitter that is involved with motivation and pleasure. So both the Bible and science are saying that it's better to give than to receive. Okay? So, thank you. Next slide, please. Again, this is more for the kids, but fun ways to give back is you can bake a batch of cookies for a school sale, buy a small toy for a toy drive, buy a small gift and give it to a young cancer patient. I promise that's going to make both of you feel so good. Collect loose change in a jar and gift it to a charity of your choice. And don't forget about giving your time, like serving at your church or spending time with an elderly neighbor or somebody that doesn't go out too much. Next slide, please. Last thing I want to say is you can do it. Okay, so again, like if somebody like me that comes from no kind of financial background or anything, and I can learn these things. I have no doubt in my mind that every single one of you can learn these things too. So if you don't come from a wealthy family must come from you. Okay? Can we go next slide? I have some extra resources. At the end, I'll pass out a sign-up sheet or something where we have some ebooks called How Money Works and How Money Works for Kids. So if you want to start teaching your kids about money, it's more for the parents so that they can start teaching their kids about money. And then also, we have a video on how to build a proper financial house. So if you guys want to sign up, we can set up a Zoom meeting where we can go over that video. And next slide, please. And these are some of my favorite books that teach about money that they don't really share with us in school. So again, if you guys want to take a screenshot of this, I promise. If you don't want to read the whole book, there are short summaries with like drawn pictures and stuff on YouTube for free. So if you don't want to buy the books, you can at least get the summaries of the books. Thank you guys so much for paying attention.
That was great. Thank you, Eddie. That was a great presentation. Did you guys learn something? Good. Now, does everyone have a paper and pen handy? Do you guys all have a paper and pen? Do we pass those out? All right, if not, we'll get some papers and pen to everybody in the audience. We're going to have a panel discussion after our next speaker. We're going to have Eddie and another speaker come up with some other professionals, so make sure to write down a couple of questions that you guys might have for Eddie or our next speaker, or just any general questions about life. Make sure you put your name on that paper. We'll use those papers as a raffle ticket to give away some merch and some books at the end of our event today. So next we have Epiphany coming to the stage. She is a young woman from San Diego and a real estate professional. So everybody give Epiphany a round of applause.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Yes? Okay, good. I don't do public speaking very often, so please be kind to me. All right. So my name's Epiphany Williams. I'm from San Diego, born and raised. I am a real estate agent. If you go to the next slide for me, please. So I've been licensed for almost 2 years now, and out of 20,000 agents, I received top 10% in San Diego. Thank you. Just to give you guys a little bit more background of me, I did start my career as a sales coach, and I worked in corporate America for about 8 years. And due to my competitive nature and my servant leadership mentality, I skyrocketed fairly quickly. But I wanted to get out of corporate America, and I wanted to get out of sales coaching because I wanted to help people on a larger scale. I pride myself in being a sharp negotiator. While being patient, I do work with mostly first-time home buyers. That's my specialty. And I want to ensure that my clients reach their goals. Client satisfaction is the most important to me. And honestly, really just educating clients. I feel like there's not a lot of education. Just like Eddie was saying, in school, you don't learn about how to buy houses, why it's important. You don't learn about any of that. Luckily, with technology now, we have TikTok and Instagram and YouTube. So now that that information is available to everyone, but not all of it's right. So I just wanted to go over it a little bit with you. This is a very short presentation, but if you have any questions, you can reach out to me later. Okay, next slide. All right, So there's 3 types of agency, right? There's your buyer's agent, your seller's agent, and then there's dual agency. So if you are a first-time home buyer, you would be looking for a buyer's agent. That represents you. If you are selling a home, you would be looking for a selling agent or a listing agent. They would then be representing you. And then there's dual agency. That means that the agent is representing both the buyer and the seller for the transaction. The best part about having a buyer's agent is that in California, most of the time, they're free. Like 99% of the time, you as a first-time home buyer or whenever you're looking to buy a property, you don't pay your agents anything. All right, it actually comes from the seller. The seller pays most of the time both the buyer's agent and the listing agent. All right. Any questions about that? No? No? All right, next slide. All right, you guys probably can't read all of this, but when you are thinking about buying a property, whether it's San Diego or anywhere else, you really want to determine what's most important to you. Right? I know a lot of people, they watch HGTV and they make a long list, right? They're like, I want these floors, I need the walk-in closet, I want open concept, I want brand new everything. Let you know, as a first-time home buyer, unless you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth, you're not going to get everything on that list, all right? So just narrow it down to 3 things. My biggest things are usually location, because you can't pick up a house and move it somewhere else, all right? Sometimes, like I have a little girl, school district's very important to me, but again, that's location, the layout of the home, right? Because it's more expensive to move walls around and add bedrooms. Things that aren't very important, if there's carpet or wood floors. I hate to break it to you, I know that it's beautiful, but compared to everything else in the home, that's a very inexpensive thing to replace, especially if you're going to be living there for 5, 10, 15 years. All right, so just something to think about when you are looking to buy your first home. Next slide. All right, how do you qualify? That's the biggest thing here in San Diego. Most people think that they don't qualify, so they don't even try. They just say, I could never afford it. They see the price and they say, I could never afford that, right? There are 3 types of loans, the most common loans. There's a VA loan, so if you are actively in the military or retired from the military, a VA benefit that you receive is 0 down, meaning that you do 0% down payment. Last year, when the market was super crazy, there was no way that you were gonna get closing costs, honestly. Last year was crazy, you're not gonna get closing costs paid for. In today's market, I am getting VA loans where people are coming with nothing, literally 0 down, 0 closing costs, and they're getting their offers accepted. Okay, so the market's crazy, San Diego's expensive, but you can actually own a home with 0 down if you're VA. Now there's FHA. With this one, 3.5% down payment. So just to give you an idea of what that looks like. So $3,500 per every $100,000 that you borrow. So let's say it's a $200,000 house. We're not going to find that in San Diego, but just for easy math. $3,500 times 2, $7,000, that's your down payment. You need to have a FICO score of 580. This is where credit is important. The better your credit score, the better your interest rate, right? And you don't need to be a first-time home buyer. So you can actually use the FHA multiple times, right? Now, conventional. This now is as low as 3 to 5% down payment. Most people think you need 20% down, right? For conventional, you do not. You can do as low as 3%. Your FICO score just needs to be higher, 620. The higher, the better. Next slide. All right, how do you find a house? Everybody looks on Zillow now, right? Zillow, Redfin. I know my favorite house gets sold every week on Redfin. Like, but honestly, those are great resources to see what's on the market, to watch the market. I do not recommend, though, using their calculators, all right? Talk to a professional, a mortgage lender. If you don't know one, I can connect you with one. But talk to a professional because those calculators are not very accurate. They don't really know the taxes. Also, there's things like Zestimate. Has everybody looked at those? Right? Or you look at a house and you're like, oh, it says this house is worth $900,000. They're not taking into account that it's a complete fixture on the inside. All right? They're just looking at the zip code and what that 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, what they think it will go for. Talk to a professional. Again, all right? Next slide. All right, so you got your pre-approval, right? You went to the mortgage lender. You got with a real estate agent. We went shopping. You guys looked at Zillow. I'm also sending you guys emails every single day, what's on the market. We find a house. You guys love it. Next, we open escrow. All right, this is a good thing. Congratulations. So, once we open escrow, you send what's called an EMD, or earnest money deposit, which is typically about 1% of the purchase price. So I know with VA loans, it's 0 down. You still do have to do an EMD. So if it's a $500,000 property, you have to do a $5,000 earnest money deposit. At the end of escrow, once you guys close and you hand over the keys, you're gonna get a check back of that $5,000. Okay? Then we order appraisal. So we opened escrow, you did your EMD, you get with your lender, the lender's going to order your appraisal. Now, the bank will only lend you what the house is worth, all right? So last year, I don't know if you guys heard, I know there's kids in here, but adults, you guys probably seen this on the news, where people were putting $50,000 or $100,000 over the listed price of the home. What could happen is if those homes don't appraise at that value, they'll fall out of escrow, meaning they'll go back on market unless the person has $50,000 cash or $100,000 cash laying around. I know I don't have that. So that's what happens a lot of the time. Also now, you schedule your inspections. So whenever you purchase a property, you're not just gonna purchase it blindly and say, I like the windows, I like the floors. You still wanna do a home inspection to make sure that this is a good property for you. You wanna do your normal home inspection, maybe a sewer inspection, sometimes a roof inspection, things like that, okay? To make sure that this is a good property for you. Termite inspection, you have to. In California, that's our pest, unfortunately. New York has rats, we have termites. Yeah. I'll take the termites all day. But the cool part about when you do inspections, you see what's wrong with the house, and the house is going to look like it's falling apart, right? Don't freak out, please. I've had new buyers freak out, and then I've had to send them 10 other inspections to show them this is normal. Okay, if you go into your house now that you've been living in for the past 5 years, your house probably has the same problems, if not more. Okay, once you do your inspection, you can actually request a request for repairs, so you can get a credit or they'll fix some of the things on the property. So don't freak out. When you see issues on the property, a lot of the time the seller will fix it or they'll give you some type of credit towards those repairs. Next slide. All right, now the big question. Why buy real estate? So it builds generational wealth. That's the biggest thing. As Eddie was saying earlier, it is an investment tool. Some people, they don't like stocks because they can't feel it, they can't touch it. It's just a number and a graph on a screen and you don't know what's going on. I have stocks, I don't even know what's going on, all right? I did buy my first property though when I was 22 years old. Yeah, thank you. I had a bucket for a car for a while, but I did buy that. So just to put numbers out there for you, I was 22 years old and I bought a condo in Fashion Valley, a 1-bedroom condo. I had it for 4 years. After 4 years, I sold it. From the sale of the property, I made $65,000. Imagine if I would have took my down payment and instead of investing in a car, that car would have been depreciated exactly. It wouldn't be worth anything, especially after 4 years. Long-term security. So I have clients who have bought their property in the 80s, late 70s, early 80s, and they just stayed in it. And they refinanced it and put their kids through college, or they refinanced it and redid the house, but they kept it. And then now they're finally at the retirement age. They bought the property, this is a true story. My clients bought their property for $70,000. And they refinanced it over and over and over again, took money out, held on to it for 40 years because we just sold it last summer. Sold it for $740,000. Now, you could do a lot with $740,000, right? You could retire. They took that money, their kids are all in Dallas now, and they just bought a condo. Now they're retiring, they can hang out with their grandkids. So this is a long-term security. Real estate isn't a short-term thing, especially in San Diego. A lot of people have that dream. They see those TikTok, the people doing their little dances and everything. You're not gonna see me dancing on TikTok, okay? But I do have a TikTok. But people think that if they buy, a duplex or a fourplex in San Diego, then they'll just be sitting there rent-free or mortgage-free, and the tenants will pay for that. In San Diego, unfortunately, it doesn't really work that way. We are a long hold community, meaning you need to hold onto the property for 5 to 10 years. If the market tanks, if it tanks, which I don't see it tanking anytime soon, but if it were to tank, hold on to it for a couple more years. And you're gonna make your money back. Passive income. A lot of people now are building ADUs, granny flats, right, on their properties. So now they're having passive income coming in. Let's say they hold on to that for 10 years. How much, there's a lot of adults in here. What was your rent 10 years ago? Right? Imagine that. Half, right? And also there's tax advantages. So you can get some right off your interest. When you do buy a property, there's certain things that you could do, repairs. You can actually write some of those off on your property as well. So there are tax advantages too. Next slide. Yeah, sorry. All right. This is my information too. I am with Real Brokerage Team here in San Diego. I'm a local agent, born and raised here in San Diego. There's not many of us out here anymore. Everyone's like a transplant for some reason. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. I do a lot of educational videos on real estate. And also, I don't want you guys to think about real estate like there's only a real estate agent. There's so many different avenues of real estate. There's appraisers. I know Bernard's an appraiser, right? There's escrow officers. There's title reps. There's notaries. There's home inspectors, termite inspectors. There's so many different avenues to get into real estate. And the best part about, I would say 95% of those careers that you could have in real estate, you don't need a 4-year degree. All right, so that's something to think of. If you're, I'm not telling anybody not to go to school, but if it's not for you, there's a lot of different avenues you can take in real estate. All right, that's it.
Man, that was great. That was great. I learned a lot. So Zillow's been lying to me this whole time, huh? Wow. All right, that's crazy. That's crazy. All right, next to the stage is a young man that has a very powerful story for us. Something of a testimony here for us today. I'd like to welcome Jason to the stage.
Hello guys, how are you guys feeling? How are you guys feeling today? Yeah, my name is Jason Peralta. I'm 18 years old. I'm going to talk about my testimony, what God has done in my life. So it all started when I was 9 years old. I came to Christ. It was me and my mother, single mother. She was struggling. She had to find God. It was always me and her crying for our family because we wanted our dad back, but he left, and my mom she wanted to find God because he was our only hope. And I was there until I was 9 years old to 14 years old. Once I stepped out of church and I wanted to go live in the world, I was 14 years old and my life just started going down. I started dealing with drugs. I was doing cocaine, crystal meth, game banging, thinking it was cool. But in reality, it's just a temporary thing that you feel just a little bit, just for a while, and then it comes and hits you harder and harder to the point that you're just lost yourself. I started seeing things. I started thinking people were following me. I started just not even coming home no more. I would just have my mom worried every day. She wouldn't know where I was. I would just lie to her. I'd go, "Oh no, Mom, I'm right here with my friends." But I was out just doing crazy things, robbing cars, robbing people, robbing houses, just doing things to make money, selling guns, selling drugs, drinking with my friends, thinking it was fun. And just like, God has worked in my life just tremendously. Like I praise God with all my heart. He's my everything. I used to have my option, like, oh, okay, I want to just like when I'm going through things, I want to go with God. But no, it's not that. You have to have Him as your first and foremost everything you do. It's like there's a lot of youth out here that are lost in the streets, dealing with drugs, with anything, and I want to encourage like the youth to stand up, and we have to be warriors for God, and just preach the word to them, because there are kids that are lost. There's even adults. There's a lot of people that need to hear about God. And He has used me like as an example for the youth. I currently go to this church called Casa Alabanza. I started going about 3 months ago. 3 months ago, I got liberated. My mom, she was doing liberation on me. I had that same night, went to go smoke with my friends, and I was smoking. I already had left the drugs, the cocaine and crystal, but then this new addiction came to me that I wanted to smoke, and I was smoking every single day. And this one night, December 9th, on a Friday, I came home like around 10 p.m. and I just had finished smoking. And I felt like on my way home, I felt this pressure just very big on my chest, like somebody was like stepping on me, and I couldn't really breathe correctly. I was struggling to breathe. And I got home, I parked my car, I got home, and I was like, I'm just going inside, I'm gonna go take a shower, I'll be good. As soon as I turned on the shower, I felt like literally 2 minutes in, I felt like somebody was attacking me, like I was getting attacked. And I turned off the water immediately, and I called my mom. And I told my mom, I fell to the ground, and I told my mom, like, something is going on with me, like, I'm getting attacked. And then that's where God revealed to me. He told me, come back to me. Come back to me. And at that moment, I told my mom, I told her, God was telling me so many things in my head, like, just told her that you're smoking. And I grabbed I had a little wax pen on my shoebox, and I told my mom, did you get that wax pen and break it? She said, of course. Then it was a battle for 2 days, and I was getting liberated, and nothing wanted to come out. I just felt that same pressure on my chest until the moment where my blood vessel from my eye like popped, and I had like a very red eye. It still didn't want to come out. I was there, and I used to like wearing a lot of designer clothes. I was a fake appearance. I liked just to go out with designer clothes. I never liked wearing like clothes that suit me. I just wanted to be somebody else. And I told my mom, like, I'm gonna cut everything, cut everything, throw it all away. I'm gonna throw everything away because I'm a new man. God saved me. So the very next day, on Saturday, I went to go work. I had to go work, and I was working, and I still felt that same pressure on my chest. And I was asking God, like, what's going on? Like, I need help. And God was telling me, like, I'm working in you. I'm breaking you down. Boom, I got home, like, around 3 p.m., I told my mom, I'm still feeling that same pressure on my chest. And it was another 3 hours. So I finally came out. It was just like, I threw up. It was black, like just black. And I just felt this relief like on my chest. It just left like I feel like a new man. And from there to now, I've been walking with God from December 9th to now. And I have like God has given me a new talent. I'm learning how to play the trombone now. He's given me that talent. I would never imagine myself like playing an instrument. I used to think that was like, oh, that's lame. Like I used to think that's lame. Where I used to think, oh, like I remember like in school, like you get like picked on if you believe in Jesus. And I used to be ashamed of it, and I'll hide that from myself. And I'll go like, oh no, I try to be like another person. And now I go like, no. God is first, and wherever I go, He's gonna be my first in everything I do. And I'm gonna give Him my all the time. And it's just been amazing. Like the youth, I came to the church, and the youth were like, how you come so happy? Like, and I was like, that's God. Like, God gave me another chance in life. I'm very happy with what God is doing in my life. And this is just like the beginning of what God has planned for me. And like, I just keep giving Him my all. I praise, I worship, dance. People, like, they look at me and I have like that energy in me. Like God just gives me this energy just to dance. Like I want to dance, praise the Lord with all my heart. And I see like before when I first got to my church, I wouldn't see no youth. Like they wouldn't be worshiping, and I just go like, why? And God gave me like, okay, you're gonna be a worship dancer, and you're gonna show these youth how it's done. And now that I have like, God has given me the worship to dance and everything, I see all the youth like just dancing and I just go like, wow, like that's Jesus' power, like what he does in people in my life. Like he chose me to be an example for the youth. He put me through everything to now testify to the youth that if I could do it, anybody can do it. You just have to have faith. And people don't really have faith, but that's one thing that you need to have. You need to have faith in God, that God is going to work in your family, that God is going to do amazing things for you, but you got to put him first, not last, first in everything you do, because he's not nothing to play with. He's not an option. He's first in everything you do. Yeah. And that's what I have learned. Because God used to be like an option to me, but no, he's my first in everything I do. And we'll go, well, that's a little bit, that's my testimony. God just keeps working in me, and I'm just looking for brighter things that God has for me. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. That was special. That was special. You made me smile today. I appreciate that. It's not easy to come up here and share your lows and your highs in front of a bunch of strangers. So we appreciate you sharing. Next, we'll do the raffle, the opportunity raffle for the shirt and book in the back. Does everybody have a question written down on their piece of paper, or do you guys need a little bit more time? You ready? She's ready. Anybody else need a little bit more time? All right, take your time. Take your time, and then when you're done with that, we'll collect those papers.
I also just want to say, hey, thank you, Jason. That was powerful. You had a lot of courage. I'm proud of you for showing up today. For those of you that don't know, Jason and I just met Jason earlier today, but we were talking through text. And I think he was a little bit nervous about coming here today because he counseled on me, but then he surprised me today by showing up and having the courage to come out here. That's great at 18. Dude, yeah. So, round of applause to you. Thank you for showing up.
Yeah, not easy. Not easy. How about now? You guys ready? You guys ready with your questions? Don't forget to put your name on it. We're going to call a raffle for some merch in the back. But Larissa, you can start picking up some of the papers for whoever's ready with their questions. Gotcha. All right. Yeah, while we're doing that, we might as well pull up the panel as well. Like I said, we're going to have a open panel for Eddie, Epiphany. We're going to have some other professionals up here as well. We're going to have Jason up on the stage. You guys can go ahead and meet me up here now if you would like. And then we'll also have Kyle, our moderator, kind of take us through the question and answers for us as well.
So if your name is called for the drawing at the end, just meet us in the back where the t-shirts are, and we're going to get you your t-shirt and a book as well to take home today.
And that's fine if you have multiple questions. Just write small or use the back. More questions, the better. right, here we go. Here we go. All right, you want to hold the basket for me?
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll shake it for you.
Shake it up a little bit for me. All right, let's see what we got here. First winner is Alice. Alice is our first winner for the merch in the back today. Round of applause for Alice. There we go, there we go. We'll meet you in the back at the end. I'll make sure I hold on to this. You didn't shake that well. Nah, he did. He did. All right, second winner. We do not have a name on this question. I'll take another one. Yeah, hold that one. There we go. All right. Yasa. Y-A-S-S-A-H. Am I saying that right? Yasa? There we go. There we go. Same family. That's home court advantage right there. I'll pick a third name. Let's go. All right. Let me. Okay. Okay. Does anybody know? You guys got bad handwriting. What is that? Do you know what that is? You know what? You're disqualified for bad handwriting. They get disqualified. That one has no name. All right, JQ. JQ is our second winner. There we go. Round of applause for JQ. So Alice and JQ will meet you in the back for your merch at the end. So now we have our panelist discussion. I'll go ahead and pass it over to Kyle, and we'll ask questions out of the basket for our panelists here. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank you all for coming out. I see some questions in here, but I wish we had more. You have time to still submit questions, and then if you have follow-up questions, please feel free to write them up and then submit them, okay? So we know our panelists. They've already spoken, and so we'll just go into the questions. I'm not sure what question this is. It just says fidelity. It's if you wrote that question, if you wrote that word, was it a question or no? Oh, it's just a name? Okay, here we have a question. How is it that the FHA loan can be applied by people who are not first-time home buyers?
Well, it's just per the FHA guidelines, you can use it multiple times. So if you currently have an FHA loan, you can refinance it, and now it works. Okay, you can refinance it and turn it into a conventional loan, but you can use it multiple times. You can also use VA loan multiple times too. A lot of people don't know that. Yeah, you can't be looking for be in escrow on two properties. There is a time, minimum time allowed between. I believe it's 2 years. Don't quote me on that. I'm not a lender. My job in real estate is to negotiate the contracts, show you the properties, go over home inspections, anything that's to do with the contract. But on the loan side, you want to speak specifically to a lender, because all they do is look at guidelines all day long. I have a lender too, if anyone wants his info.
Okay, so as an agent, do you find that it's common for a particular community that they are they don't know that they can do this?
Yeah, a lot of people, again, they're just discouraged, or a lot of the time they don't even know anybody who's bought real estate before in San Diego, so they don't know who to talk to, where to go. They think, especially in San Diego, it's only for the wealthy. But there are so many programs that you can apply to where they're going to help you get into your first property.
Okay. How can I prepare myself to buy a home? So
one, have good credit. Yeah, get your credit right. The better your credit score, the better your interest rate, which is going to affect your monthly payment. So while you can have like a 580 credit score, your interest rate is going to be a lot higher compared to if you had a 640 credit score. Also, save your money. You know, don't go and buy the flashy car. Honestly, like your car payment is usually your biggest debt. So when they are looking at your DTI, your debt to income ratio, that $600 car payment is going to take away from your buying power from being able to purchase a property. Because think about it as like that's $600 coming out of your budget every single month. Right? So say you only make $6,000 a month, and then half of that is, well, not half of it, but let's say 600 of that is your car payment. Then you have your normal bills, your insurance, rent, all of those things, your kids, the food, your phone bill. They're going to look at your entire income, and there's only, I believe it's like 42% that they allow you to have for like your debt to your income. So just hold off on the car. I've had clients who literally, we got them pre-approved and everything a year ago for $600,000, and instead of buying the property, they bought a Tesla because they thought that was going to be a better investment. And this has happened multiple times. So I'm telling you right now, like, drive that bucket. Yeah, drive that bucket, because that Tesla in 5 years is not going to get you the same amount of appreciation or equity that a property would, especially in San Diego, when our average appreciation is 8%. It's higher than most places in the country.
Okay, thank you. In addition to a 401k, what are some other ways to invest?
Well, I specialize in mutual funds, so we usually recommend Roth IRAs, which a lot of people can retire as tax-free millionaires that way. We do traditional IRAs. We do, mostly I focus on mutual funds, but there are many other ways that you can invest into and have your money grow without, sorry, I'm getting distracted up here. Yeah, but yeah, usually what we specialize in is mutual funds, so.
So for some of us who may not know like the technical term, what is an IRA?
So an IRA is an individual retirement account, and with either a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA, you're maxed out. If you're under 50 years old, you're maxed out at $6,000 in contribution every year. Yes, I would recommend putting as much into those accounts as you can, and yeah. Does that answer your question?
How do you put funds in?
So you find somebody like me who's a professional that helps you open up these accounts, or you can find another brokerage that you can open up these accounts on your own. The only problem is with going with other brokerages is that you're going to be dealing with separate or different individuals that are servicing your accounts, so you're not going to be getting consistent answers every time, or you're not going to be getting the same person dealing with your funds. So yes. So the money that you put into it is already taxed. The money that is growing, the growth is taxable income, but as long as you don't take it out, you won't have to pay taxes on it until you start distributing the income. Does that make sense?
So what are the benefits then or disadvantages of putting in tax-free or pre-tax versus taxed?
So it really just depends on the kind of job that you have. So if you work in a government job, if you work for a school or a hospital, you're putting your money in something called a 403B, and so that money goes in pre-taxed versus an IRA or a Roth IRA. where your money comes in already taxed. And so, does that make sense? Yeah, okay.
Okay, so Jason, obviously you didn't choose to experience what you did. There were some stressors that caused you to, stop going to church and all that kind of stuff. Can you explain some of those things and then advise us and some other young people here how we can avoid those?
For me, the things that I recommend youth to do is surround yourself with like your brothers in Christ. Because what I did was I decided to go pick other friends that I thought were gonna be my real brothers, but in reality, when I got in tough situations, they weren't there for me. So that's what I advise youth to do. Surround yourself with brother in Christ and read the Bible, get closer to God, have a better connection with Him. That's what I learned because I didn't have that connection with God, and like now I have a connection with God, and that's my fear, to ever lose my connection with God.
So what's one thing that you can point to say, do this to avoid getting yourself into trouble? Something more practical that maybe somebody who's 10 or 12 will understand.
Well, like social media is a really big thing. Like they promote a lot of, like you can see a lot of more pornography now. Like a lot of kids see that at a younger age now from social media. Like social media just keeps advancing, and youth like in TikTok for me is like, that's why I don't even use TikTok. TikTok for me is like a pornography site. Like you just see girls like nuded, everything. So that's something that I like. Kids that are 10 years old, like, keep the social media out their life until they're mature and like they have like that knowledge in their head that, okay, this is good and bad, because little kids don't like really know what's bad and good, so they just decide to watch it.
For the rest of the panelists, everybody, all of you can answer. Social media is now a big problem for growth and expression, but it has changed. What are some of the things that you see coming across social media? And let's not get ourselves in trouble by calling names, but we know what they are. Unless you have a good lawyer, then you can maybe call some names, but don't call names. But what are some of the things that you're seeing that, compared to when this thing just started, not too long ago, 20 years ago maybe, some of the things that you're seeing now that young people should avoid? And even older people, we waste a lot of time on social media.
So what I noticed is everyone's social media looks different. My feed's gonna look different than other people's feeds. And whatever you're surrounding yourself with, what you're interested in, you watch, you're gonna see more and more and more and more of that. So while social media, there can be a ton of negativity with it, especially when it comes to the image. That's a big thing. You're comparing yourself to other people, or you're only seeing the best version of people, right? It's a snapshot. You'll see, I'm a mother, so I have a lot of moms on my feed, right? You'll see them with the perfectly clean kitchens, and their kids look great all the time, and their kids are all well behaved. And then I have to check myself. I'm like, that's not real. Yeah. Like, ain't no way. All the moms I know, none of our kitchens look like that. Our kids are a mess, but you just monitor your children. Just monitor your children, monitor what they're watching, know the security features, and just educate your children, because in my opinion, there's no getting away from it. There's none. They're going to go to school, they're going to see it, but you need to give your children the tools so that they can recognize the problems. They can avoid situations. They know what's not safe, and just instill that in them.
How about you, Eddie?
Kind of like what Epiphany's saying is a lot of people, they share what they want to post, but they don't share why they want to post it. So just be very mindful of what you're watching and why you're watching it, and just try to be as encouraged as you can in the most positive way with what you're watching and what you're allowing your kids to watch. And there's a lot of misinformation out there, so just be very mindful of the things that you're watching.
How can we convert some of the time, or even all of it if it's not productive, into productive time? First with you, Eddie, in terms of financial investing and securing our futures, and then with you, if any, regarding real estate and investing.
Can you say that again?
The time we spend on social media. How can you convert the time into more productive time by looking into like investing, as you talked about earlier, and then if you can talk about real estate, and then if you can talk about getting closer to God. So we'll go with you first.
My guess is start asking why you're watching it and seeing as to how you're going to apply this information that you're consuming, and looking at the desired outcome that can come from actually applying the information that you're consuming. So it's all about being very mindful and trying to be as proactive as possible with getting to a desired outcome. And when those things are in alignment, then I feel we can be more productive when those things are in alignment.
Okay. But do you have any specific examples? For example, instead of watching a laughing cat, can I maybe watch?
Instead of watching a laughing cat.
Instead of
sometimes watching a laughing cat is good for you. It's good for your mental health to be stimulated. It's good to laugh. It's good to smile. So, but again, if your desired outcome is just to stay laughing all day, then that might not be a bad thing to do. It just, again, it depends on what it is that you want, where you feel God leading you in that way. So.
Okay. How about you?
It's very similar to what Eddie was saying, just being very intentional with your use of time on social media. So I'm all over social media, but I'm not all over social media all day long, right? I go there, I post my thing, I might see what some of my friends or my family's doing, but the rest of the time I'm not on social media all day. Or, time block it. If you know, like, hey, you know what, I do want to get some social media time in, or I want to, zone out for a little while, time block it. I'm going to zone out on social media from 9:30 to 10 a.m. or 11 to 11:30. It might sound crazy, to time block social media, but it works. It makes you very disciplined and helps you avoid distractions, throughout your day. You're not, driving and on social media, or at your kids' gymnastics practice and you're like on social media, and or spending time with your family or friends, having the face-to-face, voice-to-voice, or call it belly-to-belly interactions with real people. So just be intentional, time block it, and one tip that I can give you, if you know that you want to learn something, go on social media, type it in. Next thing you know, your algorithm will be all about that.
Yeah.
Right? So January 1st, everyone's goal usually is to get fit, lose weight, right? So I'll usually go in there and be like, gym workouts. And next thing you know, I'm clicking on gym workouts. Now I feel like I'm a professional in the gym now because I've just watched all these people. So just again, be intentional, time block, and try to avoid it from being a distraction from the rest of your life.
Well, for me, I don't really use social media like that. Just like sometimes. And what I have learned is that I have got like closer to God, so I go to church more often. I go like almost every single day. And well, God has given me a talent to play the trombone, so I'm learning how to play the trombone as well. And just reading the Bible and having time for God, like getting on my knees and doing a prayer, because you're making that connection with God stronger. That's what my mom has taught me, because I see my mom like praying at 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and she's there like for like 3 hours just having a prayer and having that talk with God. So that's what I have learned.
So I'll say for me, you don't have to do what I do, but I don't have a lot of these social media apps. And my friends, they send me stuff all the time, and they send it to me, and I'm like, okay. And I delete it right away, because I don't have it. But I use, for example, YouTube for educational purposes only. I go there, I try to learn something. And even then, they've recently changed the algorithm too, now that they're only showing you 3 items of what you're searching for. And then before it used to be all, whatever you search for, it would be all that. Now it's only 3, and then after that it's random stuff. And if you don't pay attention, you can get carried away and you waste 15 minutes just next thing to the next thing to the next thing. So like all the panelists say, just pay attention to your time. And if you can manage it, delete some of those apps. I have a question here. How much money do you need to buy a home in California?
Where in California? Because you could buy a place for $120,000 3 hours north.
I'd say
right?
San Diego, since we...
But yeah, we'll say San Diego. Depends on what you want. Do you want a fixer? Do you want a condo? Are you okay with a manufactured home? Do you want a studio? But it's really broad. It's really, really broad. To buy a single-family home in San Diego, I would say you would have to, and if you want it to be a beautiful home, it depends on the area. If you want it completely remodeled or something, you're going to be looking at like $700K for the house. Minimum for a completely remodeled in a decent area, like not that decent, but decent enough you can live there. So for that, you would probably need to make around $150K. If you have a two-person household, what's that? $75K each, and then down payment, things like that. If you're looking for like a condo, let's say you're just starting, you're young. A young adult, you're looking for a 1-bedroom condo, you can get one for around $400K. So with that, you need to make probably around $80,000. It also depends on how large your down payment is too. So there's just many factors. It depends also what interest rates are. Right now, interest rates have gone up. They used to, like a year and a half ago, you were looking at 3%. Now they're in the 6s. So that affects the price of the homes. There's just a lot. If you want to see what you can actually afford or what you need to make and save, speak to a professional who can run the numbers for you. Because I don't want to just throw numbers out there and discourage you, or throw numbers out there and you're like, well, you're completely wrong. That's not what I want. Talk to a professional lender and run the numbers. That would be my biggest thing. Don't listen, like you were saying, social media. Don't listen to social media, because a lot of they're not talking about San Diego. Like 9 times out of 10, they're not even talking about San Diego.
Okay, thank you. I would say to anybody who's thinking about buying a home, just go buy something. A lot of times in our mind, we want that big house, that 4 or 5 bedrooms, and then reality hits you and you realize that you can't really afford that. And sometimes we get into a phase where we are trying to keep up with the Joneses. And so my friend has a 4-bedroom, so I need to get one. But you can only afford a 1-bedroom, go buy it. Buy the 1-bedroom because it will appreciate. And in a couple of years, you can sell it, pull out that the appreciation, the equity, and then you can upgrade. So if you're, yes, go ahead.
So my favorite phrase is don't wait to buy real estate and wait. Because so many people say, oh, I'm going to buy it in 5 years. And then in 5 years, it's already appreciated, it's gone up, now they can't even afford it. And they say, I should have bought 5 years ago. And they'll say, well, when, my favorite question, when is the right time to buy? Whenever you can afford it. That's it. Whenever it makes sense for you and your family. Don't wait, I'm waiting for the market to crash. How many people have been waiting for the market to crash for it's 2023, it crashed in 2008. And even then, people were like, I'm just going to wait for it to go lower. And then it didn't go lower. And then they waited 10 years, and now they can't afford anything. So don't wait to buy real estate and wait.
Thank you. Another question, how do you become a financial coach?
I like this question. Really, anybody can become a financial coach. It just, number one, it starts with education. Get the right education, get with the right people that can put you in the process of doing the right things for every client. You do have to get some state licenses that are involved with becoming a financial coach. I think that answers the question, right?
Okay. Is now a good time to pull out equity out of your home for an investment property?
It depends on how much equity you have, really, and what type of investment are you looking for. Are you looking to flip a house? Are you looking for a passive income to buy a condo? Or buying a condo, it really just, it depends. There's so many different scenarios that could happen. It just really, really depends. Like if you say you have $500,000 worth of equity and you pull it out and you're going to buy a condo all cash, right? Cool. That's a good time, right? But if you're just pulling out $60,000 and you want a fixer, well, now you're going to be competing against the cash offers, the cash investors who might, be able to close faster. It just really depends.
Okay, so to add to that, now that interest rates are higher, maybe you might be looking at the interest rates and the payment and you're thinking that now might not be a good time. However, I like to rely on my numbers. Look at what your numbers are saying. So you look at your interest rate, you look at what your payment is going to be, you look at what your cash flow is going to be, and you use the numbers and make a decision based on your numbers and talk with a professional. It's never a bad time to invest. Investment, they grow over time if you're willing to wait. We live in a microwave economy now where we want it tomorrow or right now, but investment is long term. All right? Am I saying it right? Okay. Biggest advice to young entrepreneurs? Anyone?
Surround yourself with like-minded people. That would be the biggest thing. Be on a team with like-minded people who are just as focused and hungry as you. That would be my biggest piece of advice. Because if you're, if you surround yourself with people who aren't hungry, they're not like-minded, they don't understand the grind, then you're probably going to fall out, honestly. And don't be scared to challenge. It's going to be a challenge. It is a challenge, but it's so worth it.
Kind of to add to that is, be around people, be around like-minded individuals, but also be on a team or follow somebody that's done it before you. Somebody that comes from experience, so that you can have the right person to follow. So in case something happens, they know how to answer your questions, or they can just keep guiding you in the right path.
Go ahead. advice to young entrepreneurs. First thing I'd say, do not invest in your hobby. Business is business. If you spend time in your hobby, it's going to remain that way. If you find something you like and it's an hobby, find out how you can make it into a business. And if it works, then you make a business of it. But do not invest in your hobby because it's your hobby. You can turn your hobby into a business, and that's a different thing, right? Also, make sure you educate yourself. There are lots of resources. Talk to financial advisors. Talk about investing. In the community, there are a lot of facilities in place to get loans, to get investors. But sometimes you're not aware of it because you're not in the right circles. So seek out those circles, or you can get those answers, and remain focused. Don't share your ideas with your best friend. Not everybody will catch your idea or see your goal. And some people will discourage you. And they're not doing it deliberately. They just can't see it. And so what you need to do, if you have a passion for something, you need to research it, develop it, remain focused, and execute it. Okay, another question. How did you decide real estate would be a good fit for you? That's for you.
So when I first bought a place, I was very young, and I had a lot of people tell me no. I had realtors tell me no who literally wouldn't even write an offer for me. I had lenders tell me no because I was too young. My credit was too new. And it was very frustrating. If you would have asked me 5 years ago, like, what the process was like buying real estate, I would have been like, I don't even know. Like, I just found somebody, they finally said yes. I wrote some letters explaining why my credit situation was the way that it was, because I was young. I had parking tickets like crazy because I was young, you know. But I had a good job, and I saved up some money, and I knew I just wanted to buy. Found a place, went through 3 realtors, went through so many lenders, and wrote an offer. I don't even remember signing the offer. I don't know what I signed. I don't even remember if there was a home inspection. I don't remember any of this stuff because it was just like, here, sign here, and it's like kind of moving me along. But I did it. I'm happy I did it. But that was really a big reason why I got behind it, because if there's somebody who wants to do it, I want to educate you on how to do it. And there's no education out there for people. Really, there's none, unless your mom, dad, grandma, you know somebody who's bought and been through the process. There's nothing.
Thank you. Jason, what can you tell your younger you? How can we help younger people stay away from gangs and drugs? And I'll keep it at that. I don't know what the rest of it is. Bad stuff.
Okay. Well, the younger me, I feel like what I got influenced was by my older brother. He kind of like influenced me, because he was like on the same path as me. Like, he was just drinking. So what I'll tell my younger self is just to not look at somebody and get influenced by it, because that will lead you just somewhere bad, just like me. But it led me to a worse path for me, because I was just doing drugs.
How about you? Do you have anything to add, if any?
My younger self, geez. Your friends don't really matter when you're like there. You're probably not gonna have the same friends in 5 years, 10 years. So I hate to say it like that, but they don't really matter. You know, just focusing on yourself. Really read a lot, develop yourself. Do positive things, play sports, but don't just like Don't surround yourself with people who aren't doing well. You know, don't go to parties.
For me, I think it would be believe in yourself more. I don't know if this resonates with other people in here, but I struggled with a lot of self-belief growing up. And so, yeah, believe in yourself more, believe in yourself. Read the Word, because the Word tells you all of God's promises in your life. And that's definitely helped me understand that I have a bigger calling in my life that only I can, through Him, only I can accomplish. So, yeah, tap in.
For me, I didn't get in a lot of trouble growing up. In fact, my friends or the community kept me out of trouble. I started going to church when I was really young, and I didn't know what I was doing then, but I stayed in church because of music. I learned how to play the bass guitar, and I just wanted to play all the time, every chance I get. And so by going, just being present, I'm hearing the word, not really paying attention, but I'm hearing it, right? And so I'm sticking around, and then the guys in the community now, the most embarrassing thing I thought at the time, they called me Christian. And so every time I'll show up, they'll say, Christian, what are you doing here? That kind of stuff. And I thought it was embarrassing, but it was saving my life. That branding, they thought they were doing evil, but it turned out for good. And so because they branded me, I couldn't be around them because they won't allow me to be around them. And so I had no choice but to stick to church. And so I didn't get into some of the things that they got into. And, I'm still in church today because by being present and hearing, those things are taking seed, even if I didn't know at the time that they were. And so I stayed in church. So if you can find a church, and you can find something to do in church, do that, and you'll be okay. Jason, you're such an inspiration. Keep it up. How do you deal with the urges to return to your old life?
Well, I think about what God has took me out, of course. He took me out the worst. And I think about, okay, do I want to go back to that life and be just, depressed, sad? Do I want to lose that connection with God? Because that's my worst fear, to lose my connection with God, because I have, that strong connection with Him now. And I just keep working on it every single day. And I don't want to go back to my old ways, because I would just put my mom through pain and my family through pain.
Eddie, what tips do you have for people whose money situation is very tight? Or do they get started with saving?
Recommend looking into more creative ways to making more money. Gotta make money to save money. Yeah, that's it. Get creative. Do something you like to do. Get informed on other ways that you can make more money doing something that you actually like doing, so it's not a chore. So make it exciting. So it's definitely challenging, but it can definitely be a fun process, especially once you start seeing the goal in sight.
So we sometimes get funneled into, and if we know anything about sales, it's all a funnel. They shift you into different things depending on what your questions are, what they want you to see. And it's the same with the wider society. We get funneled into different things. And so sometimes we forget that the world is a big, wide place. We don't have to be the accountant or the lawyer or a doctor. There are so many things out there that you can do. So I'd say think outside the box. Find a problem, and if you can solve that problem, you'll be a millionaire. So try to find just one problem and try to solve that problem. And final question. How can you deal with the anxiety that comes with turning 18 or moving closer to adulthood? Dealing with the anxiety, turning 18 and going into adulthood.
Well, for me, reading the Bible more. Reading the Bible more and getting that connection with God, I think that's what will help you with anxiety. Because I know a lot of youth go through it. And I think that's just getting closer with God and having that connection with Him. And whenever He has like a talent for you, like accept it, don't decline it, because that will just another person will get that blessing that you're supposed to get.
When I was 18, I was very, very like business focused already. So my anxiety was like just hurry up, hurry up, and so I could be an adult and self-sufficient, and just honestly, I was reading a lot of books on like mental health, like a lot of books on just mental health, because like mental health is so, so important. And limiting people around me who are negative. Just really only positive people who wanted to fill me, make me feel better, and were on the same path as me. So that's what I did. I read a lot, podcasts, journaled, built my self-esteem up a lot, and just focused. Yeah.
I would tell younger kids, don't see adulthood as the finish line, but as a starting point. That's when you really start getting more freedom and more independence to start making your own choices. So definitely be in great environments with people that are pushing you towards more positive things. But don't think that, I have to have it figured out by right now once I turn 18. This is only the starting point. So cut yourself a little bit of rope.
So when you're a teenager, your body's going through a lot of changes and you're experiencing new things. That's already a big fight in itself, because you have to adjust to everything that, things that you weren't feeling before, you didn't have to explain before, you didn't have to wonder why they were happening to you before. So that in itself, just being aware that these things will come and that it's a natural part of a cycle of growing up. And then next thing, don't get yourself into things that you shouldn't. If you try to remain a teenager, enjoy being a child, don't get into things that you shouldn't get into. Sometimes kids are getting intimate at a younger age, and that brings with it additional emotional toll that our minds at that time is not ready to process. It's not mature enough to process. And so you spend a lot of time dealing with things that now as a consequence of your actions, you have to be navigating rather than just dealing with the natural process of growing up. I'll leave it at that. I have another question here. Jason, how did you get access to guns, drugs at such a young age?
For me, it started with one of my close friends that I was really close with. I grew up with him, and he's the one that started to sell drugs, and he started expanding more and more, and was getting just guns from everybody, like people selling guns. And then we got older friends, and then older friends started passing it on down to us. So that's how I was getting access to all that.
Um, 2 to 5 years, I plan to, so right now my goal is to buy a property every year. So, not in San Diego though. I wish, that'd be awesome, but no, just buy a property every year. I'm currently mentoring other agents right now. I'm kind of, and I'm honestly, God keeps telling me to build a team. I don't want to build a team, but people keep on coming up to me, trying to be on my team, and now I'm mentoring them for free, and yeah, but yeah, that's where, honestly, like, that's where I see myself. Like, right now, I'm in the process of housing the homeless on a property in Spring Valley. I have a contract, and they're supposed to starting on April 3rd, so building more houses like that. Like you said, when you said find a need, fill the need, and you become a millionaire, obviously housing is a major need in San Diego. So I'm expanding that. That's what I should be doing the next 2 to 5 years. Just housing more people through the county, different programs that they offer.
Yeah, well, me, I see myself as a youth pastor, helping out the youth. My old pastor always told me that, like, I was gonna be somebody special for the youth, and that God was gonna use me like in special ways. So yeah, I see myself as a youth pastor and helping out the youth that need help and walking the streets preaching the word.
Just like Epiphany, I see myself building a team of young, motivated individuals that are going out into the community and bringing more awareness and education on what it means to truly build generational wealth. So.
For me, I have a very ambitious goal to retire in 5 years. I have a day job right now. I'm very grateful for it, but I don't want to do it for too long. And so right now I'm putting things into place to facilitate that. Working on projects to make it happen. I won't say what those projects are. I'm solving a problem. I'm solving a problem. So hopefully, by God's grace, in 5 years, that problem will make me a lot of money. You said earlier that, just previously, question that you're mentoring people. Sometimes we don't place the value on ourselves that we should. If you meet up with the right people, you can't get 5 minutes of their time without paying for it. What you're doing is providing valuable service, and like you're talking about building a team as well. Make a decision as to whether you are going to use this as an opportunity to give back, or you're going to use it as a source of income and charge for your time. Okay, I have one more question. What is a good age to have a house, and how do you build credit? Two separate questions. We'll take them one at a time.
Buy a house when you can. That's it. Whether it's you're 19 years old, 20 years old, 30 years old, 50, buy it when you can. And building credit. So you can, if your parents have credit cards and they're paying them on time, you can actually be a co-signer on their credit cards. That'll help you increase your credit. One thing that I did to build my credit was I got a secured credit card, and that's the only credit card that I had when I purchased my property. That's literally the only thing that I had to build my credit is $50. I paid $50 and they gave me like a, I don't know, 150 or 300 limit. That's all I did. And I was able to, you don't have to have a bunch of credit cards, just make sure you're paying your bills on time every month, because that can really ding you. And don't, watch out for predatory loans. They're illegal, but they're still out there. When you go, if you're young and you're 18 and you want to go get a new car, even though it's you're like, oh, it's only $6,000, and then they charge you a 23% interest rate. Watch out for things like that. Talk to your family, because, that's one of my things. I wish I would have talked to somebody before I purchased my first car. So just talk to people who've already been there and believe them when they tell you. Believe them. They're not just trying to hate on you or, stop your shine or anything like that. But, just listen to them because they probably know better.
Yeah, she hit it right on the button. Usually we recommend don't get credit cards. Only buy stuff that you can actually afford. So.
So I'd say you can't build credit if you don't have credit. The society, it's very difficult to do things if you don't have credit. Buying a house will be challenging if you don't have credit. Even leasing a property, paying rent, that would be difficult if you don't have credit. Buying a car would be difficult if you don't have credit. So you can't build credit if you don't have credit. So start working on your credit. As she suggested, a secured card. That's a good way to get started. And I think I'm a foreigner, so when I came here, I didn't understand fully the credit thing. But where I'm from, we don't spend what we don't have. If we don't have it, we do without until we have it, then we go buy it. And so we get comfortable with credit, and then we start putting things on our credit card. I think you gave a stat earlier about how many people don't have $1,000 saved. And the amount of debt that we have, and it's a real thing, because we get distracted and we start spending what we don't have. So if we can discipline ourselves to wait, we don't have to get the latest phone because our friend did. Just wait until you have the money, then you can go acquire it.
All right, everyone. So that's going to conclude our event here today. At this time, I'd like for you guys to all stand up. We're just going to close. This is something that we do all the time. We always close out our events with a closing prayer. So could you please stand, and Emmanuel's going to lead us on our closing prayer. Thank you.
Amen. Heavenly Father, just thank you so much for this time that you've given us to just come together, Lord, and really for all the education that we're able to intake, Lord, from spiritual lessons to financial lessons. And I just pray, please help us, Father God, to apply this knowledge into our daily lives, oh God, whether it's the advice about our friendships that we keep, Lord, or about buying a house or about investing in our retirement. I just pray, please help us to prosper in this land, oh God. And that everything that we do, Lord, let your name truly be glorified, Lord. Purify our hearts, help us and draw us closer unto you, O God. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you, everyone.